Discover how a proud girl who speaks 9 languages shocked a millionaire with her inspiring journey. Maria stood in front of her tiny, worn-down house, the sun dipping low in the sky, casting a golden hue on her dreams. At 16, she was filled with fire and hope, her heart swelling with the passion for languages. She spoke 9, each one a bridge to a different culture, a different world. But living in a small, struggling town, it often felt like those dreams floated just out of reach, hidden behind the heavy fog of economic hardship. Her mother, a dedicated nurse, worked 2 jobs to keep food on the table, her tired eyes reflecting the strength that fueled Maria's determination. A quilt of love and sacrifice stitched together their close-knit family. And then there was Grandpa Joe, a retired veteran filled with tales of overcoming adversity. His stories of resilience sparked a light in Maria's spirit. In this town, hope felt scarce, yet Maria wore her ability like a badge of honor. She saw how speaking different languages helped her connect with her neighbors, fostering unity and understanding, melting the icy barriers of prejudice that often accompanied economic struggles. Then, just as the air buzzed with whispers of change, Mr. Thompson, a wealthy businessman, arrived like a storm cloud on the horizon, set to explore investment opportunities in the town. Maria felt an electric surge of possibility not just for herself, but for her entire community. In that moment, she knew she had to pitch her dream, a community language program, yet, when she stepped forward, her heart racing with hope, Mr. Thompson dismissed her proposal without a second thought, laughing condescendingly at her modest beginnings. The sting of his dismissal cut deep, igniting feelings of inadequacy that threatened to swallow her whole. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Despite drowning in disappointment, Maria leaned into the warmth of her family's support. That evening, she shared her hurt with them, and together they transformed it into resolve. Mobilized by her passion, her friends and neighbors rallied around her, ready to stand up for what they believed in. The following week, they filled the town hall, the atmosphere thick with anticipation. Maria stood before Mr. Thompson again, her heart pounding like a drum. She gazed into the eyes of her community, feeling their spirits meld with her own. With every word, she didn't just share her dream, she painted a picture of their struggles, the dignity at stake. As she confronted him, fury igniting her voice, she realized he planned to invest in a rival business that would threaten local jobs. Maria's spirit burned bright. This was bigger than her program. She was fighting for every single person who had ever felt overlooked. In that moment, a flicker of recognition crossed Mr. Thompson's face, as if he saw not just a girl with a dream, but the heart of a community. And as their eyes met in that charged silence, Maria felt the weight of their collective struggles and a flicker of hope ignited within her. Would she truly bridge the divides, or would shadows of prejudice threaten her journey ahead? The room was electric. Eyes locked on Maria as she stood at the podium, her voice trembling yet steady. Community members shared small nods of encouragement, their unspoken belief in her fueling her courage. Each word poured from her heart, a fiery declaration of resilience that resonated with every listener. She described their dreams, their struggles, and their hopes, how they yearned for a better tomorrow. Mr. Thompson, she began, her gaze unwavering, this is not just about me. It's about us. We are tired of feeling invisible. Our town is rich in culture, yet without the opportunity to thrive. Investing in our language program could unlock doors not just for the youth, but for everyone here seeking a better life. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, sparking something within them. A man in the back held up an old newspaper clipping featuring Maria in a local competition, where she had won first place in a public speaking contest. The town had pride in her, and she felt that pride swell inside her like a tidal wave. Thompson shifted uncomfortably in his chair. The dismissive smirk that had framed his face before now faded. Maria pressed on, with understanding comes unity. If we can communicate, we can champion for each other. We can create a diverse marketplace that not only attracts jobs but strengthens our community. Maria could see the gears shifting in the minds of the townsfolk. Her friends were exchanging glances, their expressions hopeful, vibrating with anticipation. She felt their energy, their dreams merging with hers, forming an unbreakable bond. Think about it, she continued, her voice rising above the murmurs. Imagine young children learning to speak multiple languages, envisioning a future beyond our town. They will carry our legacy. Each word they learn can connect them to the world outside our borders. Suddenly, she noticed a few elders, their lined faces glistening with unshed tears. Maria's heart raced. Their sacrifices were many, their stories echoed through her mind, compelling her to drive her point home. Together, we can bring back the pride that has slipped through our fingers. This is not just a proposal, it is a lifeline. The last words rang through the hall, filling the room with a palpable energy. Mr. Thompson cleared his throat, eyeing the crowd now bursting with enthusiasm. I must admit, he started cautiously, you make a valid case. A community-driven language program could potentially offer unforeseen benefits, but the risks are significant as well. A voice from the crowd interrupted, what is the risk of investing in people? We've seen businesses come and go, but a united community will endure. The voice cut through the tension, emphasizing the urgency of the moment. Maria glanced around at her supporters. Each face was a testament to their shared struggle. It was a moment of vulnerability for her, but also a bold declaration. Would Mr. Thompson push through his skepticism for the greater good? With bated breath, the town awaited an answer. Would he embrace the opportunity to be a catalyst for change? Or would he turn his back again, leaving their hopes dangling? Maria's heart pounded as she took a breath, standing tall. This is our chance, she thought, scanning the crowd once more. If we can get through to him, we might not just change our town, but ignite hope for others who feel voiceless. As silence enveloped the hall, the weight of everyone's expectations rested heavily on Mr. Thompson's next words. Would he, the wealthy businessman, take a step towards forging a path to collaboration? Or would he let fear dictate the future of their community? The hush in the room felt like the calm before a storm. Mr. Thompson's brow furrowed, and for a moment, it seemed as if the weight of the community's hopes could crush him. Just as he opened his mouth to speak, Maria felt every heartbeat echoing in her ears. Would he dismiss them again? Let me be clear, he finally began, his voice a mix of hesitation and contemplation. I respect your passion, Maria. But what could we truly gain from this? What about financial responsibility? The crowd stirred, disappointment painted on their faces. This was not the answer they had so desperately hoped for. They exchanged worried glances, a ripple of uncertainty coursing through the hall. Maria felt her heart sink. But then, she took a step closer to the podium, channeling that feeling into determination. Financial responsibility doesn't mean we can't invest in our people. We can cultivate talent right here in our community, she implored. A few heads nodded, resonating with her words. Just last month, the bakery on Main Street hired 2 bilingual staff members, and their customer traffic has doubled. This is just the start. Picture a community rich in voices, where every resident contributes to a thriving economy. Her voice cracked, but she pressed on, clinging to every ounce of strength. Mr. Thompson regarded her with an intensity that sent a shiver through Maria. The tension pressed around them like a storm cloud, heavy and electric. What would he say? I see where you're coming from, he replied slowly, as the town held its breath. But we would need numbers. Reports. Influential figures backing this initiative. A murmur of unease passed through the crowd. Maria's mind raced. The community's passion alone wouldn't convince Mr. Thompson. They needed to show him the solid truth behind her dreams. Let me help you, shouted Isaac, a local teacher, from the back. Maria caught his eye, fueled by his solidarity. I'll gather data. I can enlist the support of other communities that implemented similar programs. We can showcase the potential. A spark ignited in Maria, and it transformed into a roaring flame. Yes. We need to show that this isn't just a dream, it's a possibility. Together, we'll create a plan backed by research, backed by heart. We'll bring in voices from other towns, testimonials of what is possible when we invest in our children's futures. The excitement in the room shifted. Murmurs of agreement intermingled with renewed enthusiasm. She could see Mr. Thompson's demeanor softening, his mind visibly churning with the thoughts she'd ignited. He still held a trace of skepticism, but the barriers were beginning to crack. Maria's heart swelled with hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could change his mind. Here's the plan, then, she declared, determination flooding her words. We will present a structured program, with real data, success stories, and a united front. And we'll do it in 2 weeks, right here, at this very podium. More nods and murmured support followed, filling the air with energy. The townsfolk rallied around her, cheers of encouragement breaking out. But as the atmosphere shifted from uncertainty to excitement, a small voice whispered in Maria's mind. What if it's not enough? She glanced at Mr. Thompson, who still wore a contemplative expression, a wall of doubt lingering in his eyes. Could they really change his heart? Or would all their efforts fall short, leaving them stranded in a sea of unfulfilled potential? In that moment of uncertainty, one last thought crossed her mind: what if this was about more than just numbers? What if it was about courage? Energized by her conviction, Maria took a deep breath. We'll show them, together. But as she tried to embrace her new fire, could she truly stand against the daunting shadow of doubt? The crowd was ready to fight, but the real battle was yet to come. As the meeting drew to a close, Maria felt the weight of possibility pressing on her heart. The real question lingered, echoing like a beacon of purpose amidst the noise: would Mr. Thompson join them in their fight, or was their journey still cloaked in uncertainty? The days flew by in a blur of activity and determination. Maria, fueled by her vision of a brighter future, gathered her small team of supporters. Isaac, the teacher, was her right hand. Together, they brainstormed plans and collated evidence. The library became their sanctuary, a place where stacks of books were their armor and a projector was their weapon. Each morning, as the sun seeped through the library windows, Maria felt the weight of expectation grow heavier. They pulled statistics from similar communities, messages from families who had benefited from cultural programs. The more they researched, the more she started to believe that their dream could become reality, yet, doubt still nipped at her heels. Would Mr. Thompson truly be swayed by numbers? What if he remained steadfast in his skepticism, locked up in his office, impervious to their voices? Each night, as she lay in bed, the what-ifs danced around her head like restless fireflies, hard to catch, hard to silence. On the eve of the big presentation, Maria gathered her team in her living room. The walls were adorned with photographs of community events, smiling faces, laughter shared, lives intertwined. An energy filled the air, a blend of hope and anxiety. Maria stood in front of them, heart racing, feeling the enormity of what lay ahead. Tomorrow is our moment, she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside. It's not just numbers we're presenting. It's our community, our passion, our future. Isaac smiled at her, confidence radiating from his eyes. We've got this, Maria. Just remember, it's your vision that brought us here. Let your heart speak. Holding on to his words, Maria felt a warmth settle over her. The night stretched on, filled with laughter, notes of encouragement, and the hum of what they were about to achieve together. But as the last rays of sunlight faded into darkness, Maria felt a mist of anxiety bite into her resolve. The morning of the presentation dawned bright and clear. The town hall was packed to the rafters. Residents filled the seats, eyes sparkling with anticipation. Maria's throat went dry as she glanced around the room. This wasn't just another meeting, it was their future dangling on the edge of possibility. Thompson sat at the front, his expression inscrutable. Maria took a deep breath, forcing herself to push through the swell of doubt. She made her way to the podium, her heart thumping like a drum. Isaac's nod from the audience steadied her resolve. The projector flickered to life, filling the screen with various statistics and success stories from other communities. She spoke passionately about the potential impact, the thriving culture they could create, then she pivoted to personal stories, tales of families, children, and dreams. This isn't merely an initiative, it's a chance to embrace our collective identity. It's about resilience, hope, and courage to stand together. Look around, every face here embodies that spirit. The crowd erupted into applause, the sound surging through her like a jolt of electricity. But when her gaze fell upon Mr. Thompson, his expression remained unreadable. The applause faded into an anxious hush as he finally stood, and the room held its breath. "Your enthusiasm is commendable," he started, his tone cautious. "But can this truly translate to success without overwhelming our finances?" Maria's heart raced again, her palms clammy. She had prepared for this, but hearing it out loud flipped the switch to panic. She had to respond now. "Success isn't just measured by the bottom line, Mr. Thompson," she called back, her voice steadying. "It's about investing in our hearts. Our children will thrive with opportunities. We're not asking for a handout, we're asking for belief, not just from you, but from the entire town." The murmurs began to swell, eyes igniting with passion. What was about to happen? Could she reach him? As she looked into the crowd, she felt an overwhelming tide of support buoying her resolve. Would Mr. Thompson truly be moved? Would he risk it all for something larger than himself? The moment hung thick in the air. She felt the world trapped in that heartbeat, waiting on the edge of change. Mr. Thompson paused, his eyes scanning the room. The collective breath of the crowd echoed in Maria's ears, an unfamiliar silence that weighed heavily on her heart. He looked thoughtful, but there were no clear answers in his expression. "Your passion," he began, his voice low yet steady. "It's inspiring. But passion alone can't drive this forward without practical plans." He took a step back, arms crossed, considering. "I need to see a detailed plan. One that shows how we manage the costs while delivering the promise you've made here today." Maria felt a moment of despair wash over her. The crowd had erupted with hope, yet here it was, hanging by a frayed thread. As Mr. Thompson continued to speak, she sensed Isaac behind her, whispering words of encouragement. She subtly nodded, hoping he could see that she needed to rise above despair. Their dreams weren't slipping away, they were just transforming. "I appreciate your concern, Mr. Thompson," she responded, taking a deep breath. "This isn't just a proposal for today, this is about investing in our community's future. We want to show tangible results. Trust us to create a plan that addresses your concerns." Seeing the glimmer of understanding dance in the eyes of some audience members was invigorating. Maria pressed on, her voice gaining strength. "Imagine a space where children learn not only through textbooks but through art, music, and culture. If we build this together, we can boost local economy through tourism, create jobs, and cultivate artistic talent. It's not just an expense, it's an investment in our community's longevity." The crowd erupted once more, a wave of applause sweeping through the room. She found herself smiling, her spirit lifted by their collective energy. Watching Mr. Thompson shift slightly in his seat, she wondered if he felt cornered by their aspirations after all. Then, a hand shot up from the back of the room. It was Mrs. Ramirez, a beloved figure in the community, known for her fierce dedication to children and families. "Mr. Thompson," she called out, voice trembling slightly with emotion. "How many children have dreams that should be nurtured but are lost in our town's neglect? You've seen parents fight for their kids' futures. This project could change lives." The murmurs shifted to agreement, and Maria felt a spark ignite in her chest. If Mrs. Ramirez could offer that perspective, surely Mr. Thompson could be moved as well. He rubbed his chin thoughtfully, eyes narrowing. I understand your passion, but how do I know this won't fade away as so many proposals have in the past? How will you make this successful? Maria held her breath. This wasn't just about numbers or plans now, it was about the heart of their community. Let us show you, she said, her voice steady. We'll work with community members, local businesses, and schools. We'll redefine what success looks like together. We'll involve everyone and share our progress along the way. This is a collective mission. The crowd shifted, a palpable sense of urgency wrapping around them. Hope turned into a mission, and Maria could feel it rising within her, fueled by the hundreds of eyes watching her. But just as she saw a glimmer of willingness from Mr. Thompson, the mayor shifted uncomfortably in his seat. It was a subtle distraction, but one that resonated with Maria's fears. What if the winds of approval began to shift again? Time ticked on, and the weight of the moment pressed down like a thickness in the air. Could they rally together in those pivotal seconds to steer the tide once and for all? As she locked eyes with Mr. Thompson, she whispered a silent plea. Please, let this moment be ours. That I and that heartbeat, everything hung in the balance. Would they take the first step toward a lasting legacy, or would their dream slip into the shadows like so many before? Just as she readied herself for his response, Maria felt her heart quicken. The room held its breath collectively. What would he say? The silence in the room deepened, stretching into an agonizing eternity. Maria could practically hear her heartbeat, like a drum urging her to stay strong. Isaac squeezed her shoulder, grounding her as she took a steadying breath. Mr. Thompson finally spoke, his voice steady but guarded. I'm not dismissing your vision, but this requires more than passion. This needs commitment from your entire community. I want to see that reflected in your plan. The words hung in the air, a challenge that ignited a fire in Maria. This was more than just a request for a plan, it was a chance to prove their devotion. She felt a swell of determination blooming inside her. Absolutely, Maria replied, her voice infused with newfound vigor. We'll create a comprehensive plan that incorporates feedback from every corner of our community. But I need your help, too. We can't do this alone. Can we count on your support to gather the voices we need? Thompson's expression softened slightly, but unease still glimmered in his eyes. You need more than voices. You need a board, a team committed to seeing this through. I can help connect you with people who have both the experience and the funds to make this project real. But you'll need to lead them. A ripple of excitement surged through the audience. This was the opening they had been waiting for. Maria could see it on their faces. Hope was blossoming again. What do you say, folks? Maria called out, raising her hands. Are we ready to build our team? The crowd erupted in energy. Yes. They shouted, and the applause swelled, louder and more passionate than before. Maria's heart soared. Here was their chance, not just for a proposal, but for a movement. Mrs. Ramirez's voice rang out again, let us form committees. We can reach out to local artists, educators, everyone who cares about our children. Maria nodded, feeling a wave of inspiration coursing through her. Every one of you has a role to play. Let us start working on engaging the community right away. A weekend meetup, ideas, plans, faces united for our future. Mr. Thompson smiled faintly now, the tension in his shoulders easing. Perhaps he was finally beginning to see the potential blooming in the room. But a flicker of concern still crossed his face. There was a weight to this that still felt precarious to Maria. They were gathering strength, but where would it lead? Let us take a real vote then, Mr. Thompson suggested, shifting the atmosphere. Show me the commitment. If you're willing to back this, raise your hands. Hands shot up, a sea of determination. Maria's heart raced. This was it. But deep within, a whisper of worry crept in. Would their enthusiasm hold? Would they remain united when the challenges came? As the cheers filled the air, she glanced at Isaac, who nodded encouragingly. He understood her concerns, as if sensing the apprehension behind her joyful face. They needed not just to dream but to act, and to act together. Let us schedule that meeting next week, it has to be soon. Maria shouted over the shouts of agreement. The buzz of excitement remained, but underneath lurked the challenges that awaited. Could they turn this momentum into a tangible plan that satisfied not just Mr. Thompson but the entire community? As they continued to discuss the logistics, a soft voice caught her attention from the back. But what happens if we fail? It was a worried young girl clutching her mother's hand. The room grew quiet again. Maria felt the weight of that question settle heavily in the air. Then we try again, she answered gently, meeting the girl's wide eyes. This is about our future, and our failures will just guide us to success. But deep inside, Maria wondered, was it that simple? What if their dreams faltered in the face of real-world challenges? As the meeting came to a close, the hope in the room was palpable, but Maria couldn't shake the daunting thought. What would happen when they faced their first obstacle? She glanced back at the crowd. Could they keep this fire burning bright, or would they flicker and fade under pressure? With her heart racing and thoughts swirling, she felt the excitement of what was to come, as well as the fear of what could unravel. How would they confront the inevitable doubt lurking just around the corner? The following week arrived, and the air buzzed with anticipation. Maria stood in the community center, where chairs had been set up in a giant circle. She looked around and saw familiar faces, friends, neighbors, and even some who had once been strangers. Everything felt electric, each person pulsating with a sense of possibility. Isaac walked in beside her, arm full of papers. "Ready?" he asked, his smile radiating confidence. Maria nodded, though an anxious flutter twisted in her stomach. As people settled in, Maria took a deep breath to steady herself. "Thank you all for coming. We're here to dive deeper into our project and make our plan a reality." Chatter filled the room as community members began to share ideas and form committees. Maria listened, heart swelling as she recognized the passion in their voices. Some spoke of reaching out to local businesses for sponsorship, others brainstormed ways to promote the initiative via social media. It all felt like a wild, hopeful tapestry intertwining with every suggestion and every laugh, but in the back of her mind, shadows lingered. What if disagreements arose? What if their enthusiasm fizzled when real challenges were faced? As the meeting unfolded, one woman, Ms. Patel, stood up hesitantly. "I love the enthusiasm, but what if we run into funding issues? It's a big project, and people lose interest fast when money gets involved." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. That question stung Maria. She could feel the tension thickening the air. "We'll seek grants and community donations," she replied, trying to inject hope into her answer. "And we'll hire experienced consultants to guide us." But even as she said it, dread gnawed at her. Were they prepared for the financial hurdles that could come crashing down on their dreams? Just then, a voice piped up from the back. Young Oliver, a teenager known for his sharp wit. "We could run a marathon. People love a good cause and a good challenge." Laughter bubbled up in response, igniting the room once more. Their spirits lifted, but Maria could feel her heart racing, a mix of hope and uncertainty. "Let us set a date for that marathon," Isaac suggested, looking around with genuine enthusiasm. "It will be a fun way to bring people together and raise awareness." Applause erupted, and for a brief moment, Maria felt a sense of unity that eradicated her worries. They were in this together, after all. But then Ms. Patel stood up again, her expression serious. "And what if we don't meet our fundraising goals? What if we can't make this happen?" The laughter faded, replaced by a profound silence. Maria's heart dropped. The thought spiraled through her mind like a storm. What if their determination faltered when they needed it the most? "Let us not let what if stop us," Maria said, her voice earnest. "We're a community. We're strong. We'll figure it out together. Every step we take will lead us closer to our goal." As the group began to propose even more ideas, a warm glow enveloped Maria. There was something magical about their energy, like a fire growing brighter with each idea shared. But in the back of her heart, the nagging thought persisted. Could they handle the burden that was surely coming? Would they support each other when times got tough? As the meeting wrapped up, smiles plastered on everyone's faces, Maria couldn't shake the feeling that a storm was brewing somewhere just out of sight. She caught Isaac's eye, and they exchanged a knowing look. They both understood the weight of expectation. "Let us meet again next week to dive deeper into our plan," she called out. "We're on the right path." Everyone cheered, yet Maria felt a surge of unease crashing against her enthusiasm. Could they truly weather the storm ahead? With hearts full and worries looming like dark clouds above, she whispered to herself, "We'll find a way. We have to." As she walked out, a question lingered in her mind: what would they do when reality struck? Would they remain standing together, or would their dreams start to crack under pressure? The next week came faster than Maria had expected. Her heart thudded in her chest as she prepared for the next community meeting. She knew they had a lot to discuss and everyone was depending on her. As people filled the community center again, Maria felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. She caught a glimpse of Isaac at the front, shuffling through notes, his usual confident demeanor slightly dampened. He looked around, searching for encouragement, and Maria hoped to provide it. "Welcome back, everyone," she said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. "Tonight we have some great progress to go over. I can't wait to hear your ideas and thoughts." The chatter quickly resumed, but Maria noticed an underscore of tension. People exchanged nervous glances, and she could sense the pressure that had mounted since last week. Ms. Patel was back, sitting near the front, her expression grave. "I'd like to know what we've done to ensure we're actually moving forward," she declared, her tone direct. "How many sponsors have we reached out to? What about the marathon? Is it really feasible?" Maria felt heat rise in her cheeks. They hadn't made as much progress as she'd hoped. "We've sent out a few inquiries to local businesses," she managed, "and we're still working out the logistics for the marathon." The room fell silent again, tension wrapping around them like a heavy blanket. She could see the doubt in some of their eyes. Oliver's youthful enthusiasm seemed dimmer, and Maria's heart sank. "We need to set a timeline," Isaac chimed in, trying to lighten the mood. "If we break things down into smaller steps, it should help us stay focused." A few heads nodded, but it wasn't enough to ease the weight in the air. As they began discussing timelines, the conversation shifted to hiring consultants for guidance. The more they talked about money, the more anxious Maria felt. They were running into the very problem she had worried about, and it was right there in their conversation's fear of failure. "We need to address possible scenarios if funding doesn't come through," Ms. Patel said, her eyes scanning the group. "What will we do next?" Maria swallowed hard. "We'll focus on community engagement. We need to rally the support of everyone here and more. We can hold events to raise awareness, maybe even workshops where we could share our vision." A murmur of agreement swept through the room. It wasn't just about the funds, it was about building a sense of ownership and pride. "I'll lead a social media push," Oliver volunteered. "We can create a buzz and get people talking." With each suggestion came a wave of renewed energy. Light sparked in the dialogue as community members began throwing out ideas, each one weaving a thread of hope into their shared tapestry. Maria began to relax as the laughter returned. But then, just as she felt a smile spreading across her face, reality struck again. She noticed Ms. Patel, arms crossed, watching intently. "We can be hopeful, but optimism means nothing if we don't have a solid plan," she cautioned. The words stung like a bee. Maria glanced around. Would they be able to withstand the challenges for real? The room buzzed with plans, but anxiety simmered just below the surface. As the meeting drew to a close, Maria felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. She knew the path ahead wasn't just about logistics and timelines, it was about hearts and commitments. Would their relationship stand the test? "Let us meet again next week to finalize everything," she said, hoping to build a bridge of trust. As she watched everyone begin to disperse, an unsettling thought gnawed at her. Could they truly unite before the storm hit? Or was this just the beginning of something much harder than they could ever anticipate? Maria's heart raced with anticipation. She had to find the strength to lead and to hold them together. But lingering questions echoed in her mind. What if the challenges they faced were bigger than their dreams? How much longer could they keep the momentum going? The following week arrived with a heavy sense of responsibility weighing on Maria's heart. She could barely sleep the night before the community meeting, pacing her tiny living room as her thoughts swirled. Bright ideas mixed with nagging uncertainties. What if they didn't see progress as needed? What if Ms. Patel was right about their fragile hopes? Stepping into the community center, the familiar blend of colorful posters and folding chairs pulled Maria back to the task at hand. The chatter hummed around her, but the unease lingered like an uninvited guest. Isaac was already at the front, sorting through papers with a furrowed brow. She offered him a reassuring smile, but he looked even more worn down than the last meeting. "Are you ready for this?" Maria whispered as she approached him. He met her gaze and nodded, though the uncertainty in his eyes made her heart sink. "I think we just need to stick to the plan." As she took her place at the front, the conversation settled, but the tension crackled in the air. Today's agenda felt more critical than the last. Each member had made sacrifices to be here, and she had to channel their collective energy into something tangible. "Welcome back, everyone." Maria began, her voice steady yet slightly shaky. "I'm grateful for your commitment. We have to tackle some tough topics tonight, so let us jump right in about our next steps." The response was subdued, and Maria felt the weight of their expectations. Ms. Patel sat at the front again, arms crossed tightly. This time, her expression was even more severe, like a storm cloud ready to burst. After an awkward silence, Oliver spoke up. "I think we should brainstorm fundraising ideas again. Maybe we can do a neighborhood bake sale." "Yes, or a community yard sale," someone else suggested, and for a moment, the chatter swelled like laughter after a long moment of silence. "Those are great ideas, but we need something bigger, something that can really attract attention." Ms. Patel interjected, her tone slicing through the positivity. "What will we do when the bake sale falls short?" Maria felt her palms grow clammy. "We'll take it a step at a time," she assured her. "Positive vibes matter, right? We focus on engaging everyone. The marathon, the yard sale, these are all pieces of a larger puzzle." But despite her encouragement, the atmosphere shifted again. Subdued murmurs hinted at doubt. It was as if Maria was trying to patch a cracked wall that threatened to crumble. "I know we are all passionate, but reality is real," Ms. Patel continued, biting back annoyance. "You need to accept that enthusiasm alone isn't enough." Frustration bubbled up within Maria. She understood the importance of planning, but was there no space for optimism? What about asking the community for their support? Getting volunteers into action instead of just sales? Her plea rang out more forcefully than she intended, mixing desperation with hope. The room quieted, and a shift occurred as more voices joined in, each suggestion building on the last school events, local business partnerships, even reaching out to nearby neighborhoods. There was a spark of unity she hadn't felt before. As ideas flew back and forth, a renewed sense of purpose washed over Maria. She could feel her spirits lift, they were starting to find their way. But just as the energy peaked, she caught a glimpse of Ms. Patel, still watching but now with a glimmer of something that almost resembled hope. Maria realized that maybe they really could transform the doubts into possibilities. "Let us keep the conversations going. I believe we can make this happen together," she urged passionately, her eyes scanning the faces before her. With the meeting wrapping up, relief mingled with a bubbling excitement inside her. They were braver than before, stronger. As members began to gather their things, Maria's mind raced. Could they hold on to this momentum? But then an unsettling idea flickered within her. What tomorrow would bring might not just be challenges but choices, difficult ones that could alter everything they worked for. The weight of that thought lingered in the back of her mind. The real journey was just beginning, and she knew deep down, the hardest battles were yet to come. Would their dreams hold strong, or would they be scattered before the wind? Maria stood at the forefront of the bustling community center, the weight of collective hope swirling like a spring breeze through open doors. The air was rich with anticipation, everyone had gathered to witness the outcome of their hearts and dreams. She inhaled deeply, feeling the warmth of camaraderie envelop her, yet beneath it all, a current of anxiety threaded through her thoughts. Could they sustain this momentum? They had spent weeks preparing, strategizing, and planning. Tonight, they would present their final plan to Mr. Thompson and seek the funding they needed to make their community language initiative a reality. No turning back now. We're going to showcase what we've built together, Maria said, her voice steadying as she took the podium. Each one of us has contributed our spark, and I believe with every ounce of my heart that we're about to ignite something extraordinary. Applause erupted, cheers filled the room, and for a moment, Maria felt every doubt she'd ever harbored wash away as excitement surged through the air. Isaac, standing off to the side, shot her an encouraging thumbs up, the bond between them vibrant and unwavering. As the meeting warped faster towards the main event, whispers of praise mulled around her words that had grown from troubling uncertainties to radiant affirmations. It was inspiring. They had formed a team, united by a shared dream, and Maria felt pride warm her soul. Now, let us get to our presentation, Maria announced, drawing everyone's attention. She stepped aside as Isaac began introducing their comprehensive plan. Slides flickered on the screen, vibrant images of community ties, potential successes, and children expressing their voices in new languages. Their project was more than just a language program. It symbolized hope, connection, and prosperity for everyone involved. Maria watched as Mr. Thompson leaned forward, his expression shifting from guarded curiosity to measured interest. The moment felt electric, but as they approached the crux of their campaign financial projections, the atmosphere thickened. Maria could see the tension ripple through the crowd. What if this fails? Echoed in worried glances. She could sense the looming anxiety, aware that doubts had begun to stir once more. That's why we've structured this program to include community input, Maria chimed in, stepping forward, her voice cutting through the unease. We want to see each one of you engaged not just now but moving forward. We'll host events to keep the spirit alive and address challenges as they come our way. A woman from the back shouted, "What happens if we hit another roadblock? What do we do then? That's the beauty of this community." Isaac interjected, standing tall beside Maria. We adapt, we adjust, and we face them together. We have each other's backs. That's our strength, our unity. Their words danced in the air, relief creeping back into the room. People exchanged nods, their understanding sharpening. This wasn't just Maria's fight, it was their shared battle, where each voice mattered. Finally, silence fell as Mr. Thompson lifted his hand for attention, his thoughtful expression signaling the town to brace for a critical moment. I see your heart for this project. You've harnessed something remarkable here. But, we'll need to ensure that commitments are not only promised but delivered. Trust us, please. Maria pleaded, her heart racing. We're committed to a sustainable effort, we'll communicate progress every step of the way. With a slight grin, Mr. Thompson nodded slowly. If you're serious about engaging the community, I'll support you. We'll work together to outline expectations and define clear timelines. Cheers erupted throughout the room. Joy flooded Maria's heart, they had officially sparked change. Her vision had taken root, and their dreams were about to flourish. As the euphoria settled into a sweet undertone, Maria glanced around at the faces flooded with pride, belief, and determination. She leaned closer to Isaac, whispering, "Did that just happen?" "Yeah, it did," he grinned, pulling her into a warm embrace. And at that moment, a wave of gratitude washed over her. This was about more than just her journey, it was about the community that breathed life into her dreams. Weeks later, the community language program thrived beyond their initial hopes. Children gathered in vibrant classrooms, laughing, learning, and forging friendships across cultures. Maria could barely contain her excitement as she watched her classmates converse fluently in tongues she had once dreamed of speaking them are. Thompson often dropped by, now a staunch supporter. The animosity had morphed into a partnership. And oh, how proud her mother was seeing something that started as a flicker of hope grow into a blazing reality. It had been a journey filled with steep hills, but they had climbed them hand in hand, defying the odds together. From whispers of doubt had arisen a symphony of voices, all alive and intertwined. With joy radiating from her heart, Maria knew there would always be more dreams to chase. She turned to Grandpa Joe, who stood smiling among the crowd, and in that moment, she understood, this was just the beginning, time to inspire those around her, taking them along for every shining moment ahead. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed that algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.